The new Aprilia Tuono 457 Special Edition has a slightly confusing name because when you hear Special Edition, you think that this is the special one and that there's a normal one. But the truth of the matter is that this is the only Tuono available in India today. Now, the reason that Aprilia has done this is to try and make the Tuono slightly more approachable than what it was. So this is largely the same bike that was launched about a year or so ago, but it has a number of small changes all over that are meant to improve the riding experience. Most of these are targeted at rider comfort. So what they've done is they've reprofiled the rider's seat. Looks similar to the original seat, which is the same that you get on the RS 457, but if you look really closely, you'll see that this upper section is slightly different. Basically, there's about 10 mm more foam padding out there, which has raised the seat slightly. Then you've got the same handlebars before, but taller handlebar risers. Again, we're talking about a 10 mm improvement over here. You finally have an adjustable lever for the brake as standard, but the clutch lever is still non-adjustable. And then you've got a fly screen which comes as standard. And finally, they have also reworked the suspension slightly. Now, what they tell us is that at the front, the compression and rebound damping have been reworked internally. Those are non-adjustable, by the way. You can only adjust the preload. And they've also gone slightly softer on the spring rates. At the rear, spring rate is slightly softer and compression is slightly softer, but rebound is more or less what it used to be. The simple matter there is what Aprilia tells us is that this bike is now slightly softer than it used to be, but they still promise that it won't bottom out easily and none of those issues. Now, we've been riding the bike around Baramati today, which is where their plant is. Lovely smooth roads over here. In fact, it's hard to find a bad patch of road, and I don't know why we don't have such good roads around Mumbai or Pune, but that's another conversation. On these roads, it feels really very familiar. I haven't had a chance to get tight corners to see how the bike handles, but it's very familiar. If I can make a distinction to the original Tuono, I think the initial travel is slightly softer, but this still comes across as a taut, muscular, incredible handling motorcycle. The Tuono 457 and the RS 457 have blown away all their Indian-made competition at our track day. These are genuinely sporty, fast motorcycles, and the essence here is mostly the same. It's just slightly more improved in terms of comfort. I would not go so far as to say this has now become a soft motorcycle. It's just become slightly more inviting. Personally, what I like here is the change in the riding position. The original Tuono felt too tight for me. When I sat on the motorcycle, I felt like the distance between my feet and my hips was too tight and it was too much of a lean forward. This has slightly opened things up. I no longer feel locked in on the motorcycle. This is still a compact bike to me, but I definitely feel a little more comfortable here. Now, this is still a sporty roadster riding position. You do have a lean forward, but it's just a little kinder to you overall, and I do like what they've done here because the Tuono is meant to be a sporty motorcycle and they have not diluted that. The rest of the riding experience is typically Tuono, and I mean, nothing has changed in the engine. This, in my opinion, is still the most glorious, exciting, great sounding engine, lovely feeling engine that's made in India at the moment. It's smooth, but you feel it through the chassis of the motorcycle. There's a rumble, it sounds great. It is definitely the most exciting engine out there on any Indian motorcycle in my books. There were problems with reliability when the Tuono, especially the RS 457 was new. That seems to have died out online, far fewer complaints that we can see. So Aprilia does seem to be addressing those concerns, and we'll just have to keep an eye out on how long-term reliability goes. But from what we can tell, it has definitely improved on these motorcycles. Talking about sound, we have a plane in the background, but let's see if we can give you a check of that. That is an awesome sound. It really does remind you of the RS 660 and the Tuono 660, and to some extent, a little bit, even the RS V4. There's that connect in there, it pops, it's a lovely sound and one of the main reasons to buy this bike. But it's not just a great engine, you've also got a lovely handling chassis, and if you're someone who likes sport riding, you have good roads to exploit a bike like this, I do believe that this motorcycle and its sibling are in a category of their own in India. While the suspension has been tweaked, the brakes are the same. It's still not the high mu pads that they sell as the racing pads as standard. You will have to pay more for those if you want them. For the road, these brakes are perfectly good. The only concern with these brakes was with repeated hard braking, they tend to overheat and then the brakes get soggy, but most people aren't going to find themselves in that situation on the road. Quickshifter does not come as standard, which is a bit of a bummer, but the pricing is good and we'll get to that in the end. You do get an optional quickshifter again for about 20,000 rupees extra. The rest of the feature set again is the same. It's the same TFT that you used to get earlier, same headlamp, same styling, apart from the color scheme. That is something I do want to talk about. There are two colors on the Tuono Special Edition, and I think this black looks fantastic. The silver colored head bike, somehow the proportions look a little off with the lighter colors, and it also has lighter color treatment for these headlamp surrounds that just looks a little cartoonish to me. This looks like a bigger, more muscular bike, better proportioned, and I think this new color scheme has really done wonders to the way the Tuono looks. Now, design was a bit of a disappointment with the Tuono at first, and I think that is why Aprilia is going down this special edition route. They say that this bike is inspired by the 2006 Tuono 1000, and yeah, that bike did have a similar headlamp, and they want to let you know that there is lineage between this design and the 2006 Tuono. But I don't think that takes away from the fact that this would have been an even better looking motorcycle if they had just given it that similar RS style headlamp up front, as they've done with the Tuono 660 and the Tuono 1100. Bit of a miss, but in my books, with this color scheme and a black chassis and black swing arm and more blacked out treatment, this is a good looking motorcycle now. Right, so the Tuono 457 is definitely an improved motorcycle. I still have some reservations of how comfortable it's going to be on bouncy, badly made concrete roads like we have all over Mumbai. The RS457 and Tuono were never comfy in that situation, and I think this will be like that. It'll maybe a little more comfortable, but it's still going to be a firm and sort of unforgiving, sporty motorcycle. You've got to be ready to live with that. But I now find that this bike has suddenly gotten a lot more appeal, and that's because Aprilia did not raise their prices when the GST rate was hiked up to 40% for bikes over 350cc. So it's still 3.99 lakh ex showroom for this version, which is just 2,000 rupees more than it used to be. The KTM Duke 390R, which is its most direct rival in India, is now just 50,000 rupees less than this. That bike is pretty much 3.5 lakh rupees ex showroom. And with a difference that small, well, this bike has a lot more to offer in terms of rider engagement, that special feeling. This really does feel like a scaled down big bike. Sure, Aprilia's dealer network is minimal, and that will be a challenge for a lot of people, and they cannot match KTM's reach. But if you just want a special feeling sporty motorcycle at a somewhat reasonable and attainable price, this bike for now, until they raise the price, is looking really quite appealing.